Hello, and welcome to Cutting Edge Pain Relief. Today, I am incredibly honored to have Dr. Alex Vidan here with us via telecommunications studio, the techniques and components of being able to have various different pixels so I can ask him questions about chiropractic care. So I'm going to embarrass him somewhat. The fact of the matter is, he's one of the most phenomenal individuals I've ever had the pleasure of meeting, and that's outside the scope of just medicine and healthcare. He is an individual who's not only incredibly smart and personable, but he also has that ability to be able to break things down so you understand it and you walk away with like, yep, I got my nugget that makes it click for me. To give you some background and understanding of who we're talking to, he has been named the top chiropractor in St. Louis in both 2015 and 2020, as well as he has been seriously connected on an international level, doing multiple different teaching elements for teaching people how to be able to leverage chiropractic care. So with no further ado, I'd like to be able to introduce Dr. Alex Vidan to our channel.
Man, thank you so much. You definitely was making me blush over here. So thank you. Thank you.
That's all right. I mean, it's worth making you blush because you are a phenomenal healthcare provider who really has just been even shaping of my career in a lot of ways when I listen to some of the things that you've done and how you've been able to really be able to treat people and change their lives on all essence. And one of the things that I didn't even mention is your connection to the community via television and how connected you are in St. Louis in terms of understanding and explaining health. Can you comment a little bit about, what you do and how you have various different segments within the news to be able to help give people understanding about their health and how chiropractic care can be leveraged in that context?
Yeah, I mean, look, I find people are so interested in understanding what's going on with their health, and they want to know like what's the right place for me to go within that. And so for me, whenever I got started with all this, with being on the news and getting to spread that message in our community, it was one of those things where I looked at it and I said, I want to be able to impact as many people as possible and make sure that they understand the things that can happen for them that is an aspect that we can help with in chiropractic. Whenever I found about chiropractic, and we can kind of get into that in a little bit or something, but I didn't know about chiropractic. And then it was one of those things where it was enlightened, right? I was enlightened and finally found out about it, how it could help me in my particular situation. And I thought, man, I'm in health, I'm in wellness, I'm pre-med, I'm working in the hospital, I'm doing all this stuff. But I never knew that this is a thing that could possibly help me in any way, shape, or form. So I knew in my heart, like if I'm already interested in this and I don't know about it, I've got to get the message out there to more and more people. And for me, being on the news was the biggest platform that I could get to with being able to do that, especially at that time. So for me, I look at it as it's one of those things where anything I can do to help somebody else's life get better, whether or not that's through chiropractic care, referring them to a physical therapist or medical doctor, a surgeon, whatever that is, like whatever they need, I want to make sure they get that. And if I can be a way of them getting that in any way, shape, or form, a catalyst to that happening, I'm going to make sure that I'm doing my part to help within that, so that more and more people can have the life that they want. And that's really my driving force within that too.
So within that, let's kind of delve even a little bit deeper because I think, as you mentioned, that aspect of what's your why
Yeah.
makes all the difference in the world. I think no matter what your profession is or what your really passion might happen to be, I think why you do something is the connect on how you impact people, how you interact with people, and why it makes a difference to you.
Yeah.
So if you can tell us a little bit about that, but I also want to kind of get into that background that you kind of gave us a little nugget of. And
Yeah.
that little nugget was, initially, as I understand it, you were a college athlete and you were doing some things and you got an injury and then you
Right.
got exposure. Tell us
Yeah.
what happened.
Yeah. And I totally agree with you. It's about the why, right? It's about the why is it that you do what you do, and why is it that you're going to put in the work and the effort to make things happen. And we all have that why, that driving force within us, whatever it is. So for me, it was, yeah, I got a concussion, and I suffered a concussion, and we were just messing around playing indoor soccer, and we were playing on a hardwood floor. And one of my buddies, I was going to shoot, and when I was shooting, he checked me just messing around, and I cracked my head on the hard floor, right? So there was nothing there. It was that hard, thin laminate, like when we were kids, that thin kind of laminate floor that you would have, like nothing, it's concrete and then that. And so I thought it'd be a good idea to use my head to stop the fall instead of my hands, I guess, and cracked my head, got a concussion, a significant one. And from that point forward, I would usually have about 5 to 6 headaches a week. And I would usually have about 1 to 2 debilitating migraines a month. That continued for me for about 5 years. And one of my buddies kept telling me about going to see his, I know, right? Like it was bad. Um, and I was, I was pre-med at the time. I was like, I'm working in the hospital. I'm helping out on surgeries. I was intubating people. I mean, like all of it. I was in a teaching hospital, and I was incredibly fortunate to have the opportunity to work there and get to be a part of all that. And everybody I would go to, I would ask them, like, what can we do for my headaches? We tried everything. Like, I would speak to neurologists, I would speak to everybody. And I tried everything, but nothing was helping me with my particular issue, right? For my headaches and migraines. It would kind of get me by a little bit, but it wasn't really getting me to where it was fixing the problem. And I know that everybody wants to fix the problem, not just like cover it up. Sometimes all the best we can do is cover it up, and that's the best. But a lot of times we can get to that source of the problem. And for me, I felt like I'm too young to not be able to get to the source of the problem. So one of my buddies kept on me about going to see his chiropractor, and I kept thinking to myself, what is a chiropractor going to do to help me with my headaches and, that kind of thing? I don't have neck pain. I don't have back pain. I don't have any of that. But I was like, all right, one day I was just hurting really bad. And he was just like, just call the guy, just see what he can do. And so I called the guy, I went in, I saw him, he explained everything to me. And as he explained it to me, I was like, well, okay, this kind of makes sense, And then he adjusted me. And when he did, boom, like he lit me up. And I was just like, everything was just like, holy cow. Everything kind of opened up for me. And I knew in that moment right there, I knew, all right, I'm going to be a chiropractor. I'm going to be a doctor of chiropractic. That's what I'm going to do. And I've got to get on the news to tell more people about what this is. Like that for me was it. Because I thought, if I don't know about this, and I'm in this element, like I'm a trainer at a gym, I'm helping people with health and wellness, I'm doing all these things, I'm pre-med, like I'm all that stuff. I thought, how is it that other people are supposed to know about this too? So I thought, I've got to get the message out there to more and more people. So my driving force is letting people know. And even when I'm not the right fit for people, I want to make sure that they know we're going to help you find the right fit. So that's the main objective for me. That's my driving force, that it gave me the life that I wanted and that I was striving for, at an ability that I would have never had if I had not been introduced to chiropractic care. And I'm truly blessed and grateful that I get to help patients with that every day and help people understand like how it is that chiropractic fits into their continuum of health, as well as an aspect of their health and wellness that they've never known before, and that we just need to have the exposure for.
So to that end, you covered a lot of stuff there that were just like, it's really got a lot of things that are in it. But
Yeah.
I think many people have that same kind of supposition that you initially mentioned, is that if it's not for the spine, then how does chiropractic care fit?
Right.
So although we want to talk about spine and we want to talk about pain, what I'm
Sure.
hoping that people can kind of take from this is a broader scope. Can
Yeah.
you talk about chiropractic care and how it can be leveraged in unique ways that individuals normally might not necessarily think about chiropractic care?
Sure.
But in addition to that, two-part question.
Yeah.
Um, what
Yeah.
I also want you to really kind of give some insight about is when we talk about chiropractic care, not every chiropractor practices the same type of
No.
treatment. There's
Yeah.
multiple different differentiations and different components
Sure.
of specialties, from neuro to other elements. Can you give us just a little bit of piece of that, a little sample, little taste test, and
Sure.
give us an explanation about how that really is much broader than what we might understand at kind of the surface level?
Sure. And look, I totally agree. When I hear patients come to me and they're like, I don't know how a chiropractor is supposed to help me with this, but my buddy told me to be here, or my wife told me to be here, or whoever it is told me, my medical doctor told me to come in, or the ER told me to get over here, whatever it is. And we get that a lot in my practice. Um, and I understand, because I felt the same way, and I was hesitant to go see a chiropractor for the longest time. So when I finally opened up the idea of, let me see if they can possibly help me, um, I feel like number one is that when you're looking for a chiropractor, one of the big things is that you've got to find somebody that is going to, number one, resonate and fit for you, right? So there's a lot of different ways of practicing. So what's the way that's going to work for you? And if you think of things from the aspect of, well, I want to make sure, like me personally, if I was referring my brother, if I was referring my sister or my aunt, my uncle, my mom, my dad, anybody else to another chiropractor, I would say, look, this is what you want to look for. You want to make sure that number one, they're going to look at the structure of the spine. They're going to look at what's going on. Are they going to take x-rays and evaluate that and show you those x-rays so that you can understand what's happening there? They need to do that. And then how are they going to relate that structure back to what's going on with you in a way that actually makes sense? It's got to make sense. And then what are they going to do? Are they going to adjust? How are they going to adjust? They need to explain that to you. An adjustment is whenever they're adjusting the spine to allow the spine to move or function properly, to now allow it to move and function the way that it's supposed to. A lot of times the spine gets locked, it gets really rigid. And when that happens, the nerves that are around that can be irritated or not function correctly too, because of the inflammation that's around that and everything else around the spine too. That can then have degenerative properties that start to happen as well as functional issues. A lot of times we as the public, we tend to think, if I take my doctor hat off, we tend to think nerve pain is only, or nerve function is only about pain, right? So when we think about, if I said, hey, tell me about nerves, they're going to say, well, like sciatica or numbness or tingling or anything like that. Well, you and I as doctors, like, we know that the nerve's capacity for pain is only a very small aspect of it, right? It's like 10%. The other 90% of the nerve is looking at function and making sure that, that your body does what it's supposed to, that you can feel when you touch things. Like those are the dermatomes and the myotomes, making sure the muscles work and all that kind of stuff. Well, we don't think about all those other aspects of the nerve. And so a lot of times what can happen is that a nerve is very similar to, and your nervous system is very similar to the electrical system in your house. So if you think of it like the fuse box in your house, that's your spine and nervous system. Well, all those fuses go to specific places and they control different things. They make sure that the lights in the kitchen come on. They make sure that the dryer and the washer work. They make sure that all the other things in the house work. Well, it's the same thing for your spine and nervous system. When your spine and nervous system has an immense amount of pressure on it, it can cause the things like debilitating leg pain or fire, that kind of thing going into the leg or extremities or whatever it is. But if, let's say, it has less than that, well, now it makes it to where maybe that nerve isn't functioning quite like it should be. And since each one of them goes to a specific area, it can cause things like headaches, or with our babies, it can cause things like problems with like acid reflux or GERD, or it can cause digestive issues. It can cause things like heart palpitations, shortness of breath. It can cause, erectile dysfunction, heavy menses. Like there's all kinds of things because the nervous system controls so many different things. So if a chiropractor can look at it, and you're going to a chiropractor to see and find out like, hey, this is the area of the spine that controls these things based on basic anatomy. I mean, that's basic anatomy to look at and say, these areas come from there. If that's not functioning like it's supposed to in your spine, then we need to make sure that it's moving and functioning like it should be. And they should be able to use some type of analysis to determine what is going on there and how to best correct that area. So I hope that for your two-part question, I answered that, what you were looking for. If there's something more, please let me know. Yeah.
As always, yes, you definitely answered our question as I kind of expected that you would. What we're going to do is kind of tease our viewers with a couple answers that you're going to get, which I think will be incredibly useful, that he's going to answer for you in just a second after we take a little break. But number one is, so what's the number one question patients should ask when they're evaluating a chiropractor? And number two, what's the most prominent myth about chiropractic care and how can you debunk it? But we're going to take a quick break and kind of just do a channel promo, and then we're going to come back and talk further with Dr. Alex Vidan. So again, we're speaking with Dr. Alex Vidan, and for those of you who need some insight about figuring out a chiropractor who's a phenomenal, not just national, but international, really truly celebrity, although I'm sure he blushed with that, but has helped people change their lives, one of the places you want to do is go to his actual website, which is Vidan Family Chiropractic. If you don't know, they are located in St. Louis, Missouri. And you can be able to get incredible information about how they can help you. If I didn't reference it earlier, it's on me. But the fact of the matter is not only was he one of the top chiropractors in 2015, but also in 2020. And quite frankly, he has not only helped the general lay public, but he helped the 2011 World Series champions for St. Louis Cardinals. And maybe we even talk a little bit more about sports in just a second or so. But Dr. Vidan is a phenomenal chiropractor and healthcare provider. And what he's going to talk to us a little bit now about is that aspect of what's the number one question you want to ask when you meet a chiropractor, and then also what's a chiropractic myth and how it really doesn't hold water. Dr. Vidan.
You're definitely making me blush, man. Thank you. Yeah. So the question that you should ask the chiropractor is that you want to know, like, is this something that you help with? And you need to have a solid answer with that. So whatever your complaint is, whatever you're going to that chiropractor for, is this something that you help with? Have you had experience with this? Because you want to know, if I've got this particular issue, is this going to be within your scope of being able to help? And really, the other thing that you need to look at is, and this is because of how we view practice, the way that I view helping my patients. I think a great question would be, if I was your mom, if I was your brother, if I was your sister, if I was your whatever, what would you do for me? And I feel like anybody that can answer that question is going to answer it from the right place. Because you and I know, Doc, like, you and I know that if it was our family, we're going to tell them, this is the thing that you need to do. This is the direction that you need to go in order to get the care to get you back to the life that you want, whatever that is, right? And so if you can answer that question, and you can have somebody else that answers that question with honesty and integrity and with their actual heart of who they are, then you've got the right place. You know that, okay, whatever it is, I know that they're going to give me the straight answer, because they're going to want to help me as they would their own family. So I feel like that's number one. So that's the question that I would ask. As far as the myth to debunk would be, that chiropractic is just for neck pain or back pain, and that's it. That a lot of times what we hear is that people think, just like I did whenever I started off in chiropractic, that chiropractic care is just for neck pain, back pain, and it's not for anything else. When the reality is that it's for so much more. You mentioned about the St. Louis Cardinals, and been truly grateful and blessed to work with them. Got the hardware, all the stuff from winning the World Series, all those things. And within that, I got to not only work with the Cardinals, but all the other teams too that came through St. Louis. So you got to take care of a lot of amazing athletes and a lot of people that are performing at their top and at their best. They aren't so much coming there because of the fact that they're not coming to see me because of the fact that I'm not taking care of them in the clubhouse or anything else, because of the fact that they have pain. Sometimes that happens, and sometimes it's about, like, how do we work as a team of healthcare providers to get them out on the field and keep them out on the field and do that kind of thing. But also from the aspect of, look, if we're looking at this person, how do we also not just get them out there, but keep them out there? And I really feel like that's a big part of what we should all be doing too, that if I'm not in pain, then why else would I go see somebody? Well, I'm also going to see them because maybe I have, problems like headaches or migraines. Yeah, that's a form of pain. That's a form of the body's letting us know that there's an issue there. But what else is going on? Is a lot of times about function. A lot of people right now are experiencing working from home, right? So a lot of companies are going to that aspect of working from home, and they're having right. I mean, you're seeing that in your practice too, aren't you, Doc?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, where more and more people are coming in with more and more problems associated with the ergonomics of working at home, the stress of working at home, just the baseline stress that we're dealing with is so much higher than it has been. I'm trying to figure out, like, what's going on with my job and with my kids' school and everything else, all those things. And I think that when we start to think about that, we start to wonder, like, how does my body handle and deal with stress? Well, we can look at it from a lot of different perspectives in that too. One of the things that I talk to my patients about is how chiropractic care helps with your body dealing with stress. And Doc, you and I know that when stress is high, immune function is low, right? Like, stress is high, the body has a limited capacity of
Exactly.
dealing with immune function. And so I want to make sure I'm giving my patients everything I can. I'm not going to be the end all be all of that. Like, I'm going to make sure that they're seeing you, that they're going to see you to help them with the things that they need to as well, right? I'm going to make sure that they're they're getting that nutrition on par. I'm going to make sure that they're talking about things like sleep. We're going to talk about the adjustment and how that helps with it too, because there's research out there that talks about how the chiropractic adjustment helps with things like cortisol levels, right? So after that adjustment, your cortisol levels will start to decrease instead of increase, right? High stress, cortisol is typically known as that stress hormone that we think about. So high stress means that we've got more cortisol. So after an adjustment, the cortisol levels drop. Another that's a really interesting one is heart rate variability. So Harvard talks about that heart rate variability may be our very best indicator, right? So you've seen this too, right? So our very best indicator of determining how our body handles stress. Well, there's a really interesting research that's out there that's from Japan that talks about, or I'm sorry, it's out right here in St. Louis. This particular one's out of St. Louis. And they talk about how the adjustment can help with your body's ability to variate that heart rate variable, right? So to change that. And what we want to see is we want to see when you go to high stress, how quickly do you get back to better, right? To that better heart rate that's right for you. Well, they say that after an adjustment, this research supports that after the adjustment, your body's better able to do that. And so when you start to add in all these things and we start to figure out like, all right, so chiropractic care is so much more than neck pain, back pain. It's also about how does my body handle stress? And we've got to look at that too, because a lot of times people just think, well, I handle stress really well. I do okay. But we don't think about how often we say, yeah, when I'm stressed, this up here is tight. All these things are going on. My digestion isn't as good. My heart doesn't, kind of function as well as it should. Like I get all these other things too. I don't sleep as well. I don't have the same energy. I don't have the same focus. Well, it's all typically associated with stress. So what are things that you can do to eliminate that or decrease that in a way that's actually going to work and function for your lifestyle?
Yes, I think, the interesting piece is many times in medicine, traditional medicine, we use a cliche phrase of kind of a holistic approach.
Yeah,
But we still are kind of taking it apart piecemeal
sure.
and saying, how can we then hopefully reconnect this back together? But
Yeah,
listening to you describe this, it certainly sounds like you're looking at the entire person, what their stress levels do to how they function as a whole in their quality of life, what
yeah,
the aspects of ergonomics might be in terms of how it impacts them in potentially a positive or negative way. And really, how can we be able to leverage not just trying to improve you from a bad condition, but how we might be able to prevent you from being in a bad condition and keep your overall degree of wellness
yeah,
at a high level so that you can function the way that you really want to be able to function.
yeah. Well, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say, forget what I just said, just what you said. That's what we're going to go with. That's exactly it right there.
It's all based on what you just said. So I do have a question for you as we start to kind of wrap up. We got a couple more that I really want to pitch, but one of the things that I'm most curious about is I know this has been a really dense kind of like getting down into it so patients can say, oh man, I didn't know this. I didn't know
Yeah.
this. I didn't know this. So from this, are there any resources that individuals can be able to use to leverage expanding their knowledge further about chiropractic care? And also you. So are there certain times when you might be on a channel? And now that we have media that is such prolific and we're at home, I'm sure there are ways to be able to tune into that St. Louis channel and we're in South Bend, Indiana,
Yeah.
or we're in Poughkeepsie, New York. Let us know a little bit about how we can get some further insight and what resources might be out there to help expand our knowledge about this.
Happy to help. I mean, I would say that some of the big things is like you said, it's social media, right? Like we've got this online ability to be able to connect and reach out to each other and everything like that. So I always say like some of the best things are using social media. So I'm on social media. I get people that ask me questions from all over the world about things, and my main goal is like how can I help them find somebody near them to get the results that they want. So reach out to me, like let's connect, let's connect on either on YouTube, or let's connect on LinkedIn, or let's connect on Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is. And I'm out there on right there, right? So Dr. Alex Vadan, you just search on any of those social media platforms, you'll find me. I'm there and I'm here to help however I can. I always share videos and share news segments and share those kind of things, or things that I think like, hey, this could be helpful for somebody else to understand, so that they can have a better life or move towards the degree of wellness and health that they're looking for. So any of those platforms, I'm happy to help or help you direct something else, because specific questions would lead me to have specific answers for where they need to go for certain things. But certainly, use me as a resource. I'm here to help however I can.
Okay, so I know that not only are you always constantly looking to improve professionally, you
Yeah,
also are a big time family man. So I'm
yeah,
going to ask you this question.
yeah.
In 3 years from now, what has to have happened, both personally as well as professionally, to feel like, you've made the accomplishments to be even further along where you want to be?
I love that question, man. And I love that you're like dropping it on me right here. I love that. So you're right. Family to me is paramount, right? So for me, it's making sure that I have that time, that intentional focused time with my family, which I do. And I have to keep on consistently doing that. Like I want to make sure that when my kids look back at their life and their time living in my home with me and my wife together, that the idea is they look at that with fond memories and times where they can look at it and say, I learned those things from my parents and from seeing those things with them because they set the example. So I want to make sure that it's about my actions for them. So if they can look back at that and say that in 3 years from now, my oldest, he'll be 16 at that point because he's 13 now. If he can look back and continue along the path that he's currently at, that'd be great. Same thing with my two daughters. They're in the same boat, so they're 10 and 5. If I can look back at that and see that, that would be it. The only other thing would be, like you said, professionally, impacting more of my community. Like to me, that is a major aspect, a driving force for me is impacting more people in my community. Because I know that no matter if I'm reaching in my community, I'm reaching out in the United States, I'm reaching out internationally, whatever it is, that it comes down to how can I help more people get the health and the life that they want. So for me, I would look back at that same kind of thing and say, have I reached that? Like, am I continually, perpetually moving in that direction to see the impact happen for more and more people's lives? And the way that I would score that and look at that for me and as an individual would be looking within not only my practice, but the opportunities that come, like being here talking with you. Without your platform, without doing this, more and more people wouldn't know about what it is that either chiropractic can help with or what you're doing to help so many people in your community. Like you're making a major impact, and getting to connect with people like you is amazing to me. Because I know that you're making a huge impact in your community, and I know that you're making a huge impact in so many people's lives, and I appreciate the fact that you're doing that. And for me, I look at that as, if I can look back on my life and I see more of that going on, to me that's a win, that's a W. So I'll take that all day long.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Sorry for a little technical difficulty. I was having some issues with trying to pull up your Facebook page and
Yeah.
show people, some of the accomplishments that you have and really where they can connect to you on social media and really show them, all the different things that you're doing, which are so cool, like the aspect of subluxations and babies and how you guys are really just connected and a family first and holistic. And you're not talking about it, you are about it,
Thank
and how we can really be able to leverage that resource of, how do we get further information, understand chiropractic care and its full dynamic, and really how to be able to leverage this in our lives. So I definitely thank you for joining and really being part of our community here. I guess the only question I'd have left for you is, what else should I have asked that I didn't ask you that you think would be, a heck of a nugget for patients to kind of take and viewers to take with them to say, you know what, these are some things about chiropractic care which are huge and important to know.
I would say that you asked excellent questions. Like you asked, I feel like all the things that I would want to be asked. So I appreciate that. Maybe anything else that would be like another nugget that I would look at and say is consider things from a perspective of that a lot of times we just don't realize. Like we don't realize that there's a chiropractor out there helping on every single Major League Baseball team that there is. We don't consider the fact that they're the same thing for NFL teams and NHL teams and NBA teams. And whether or not, I know in Major League Baseball and NFL it's 100%, but maybe in some of the other leagues it's like 95%, 98%. Same thing with collegiate athletes. I look at it from the perspective of you never know what it is that somebody can do to help you. And so you start looking into it more. So maybe you're looking for a chiropractor that's going to help you on the structural aspect of things. Maybe you're looking for somebody that's going to be able to help you on on the functional aspect of things, or maybe you just don't know and you're just curious and you say, look, I've been everywhere else. I have no idea. I'm just here because I heard this Dr. Vadan talking about some stuff. And I just thought maybe I'll give this a try and check out somebody else's office. Whatever it is, look into it, like delve into it a little bit more to try to determine, is this something that can help me more? Because a lot of times we don't know until we just dive into it more. And that within itself is worth the exploration, because when we really evaluate what's going on, if we look at it and go, man, at the end of the day, when I get home, I'm just exhausted. I don't have time to play with my kids. Man, whenever I think about the amount of intentional time that I have with my family, that it's not where I really want it to be. And it's because of, if I really think about it, it's because of this thing. I don't go throw the football or the baseball or whatever it is with my son or my daughter or whatever it is, or I don't get on the floor and play Legos with them or Barbies. Like, I'm a Barbie playing master. I will play Barbies all day, and it's because like, really, yeah, I'm a Barbie playing master, man. Like, that's it. But I look at it from the perspective of, if you can't do those things that you would really like to do, then we need to take a step back and say why. And if you aren't getting the answers wherever they are and whatever we're doing, and you're still not able to do it, then you've got to dig deeper to find out, like, okay, what else can I do? Where else can I look? And if I haven't tried this, or I tried that one chiropractor and it didn't work with them, maybe there's a different one that I can try. Maybe there's somebody else I can look at. Just like, a medical doctor or a dentist or, whatever it is, anybody else you can look at and go, they're not all the same. I know you're not the same because I know how you care for patients. I know the heart you have for making an impact on people's lives and on your community's lives. That's why you're doing this. Like, you're doing this to impact more people's lives. And I truly appreciate the fact that you're doing that, because it gets the message out to more and more people to help them. And you're giving of your time and your talents for that. So at the same time, all your viewers have to do is just take action within that as well. Make sure that they're doing the things to say, okay, I'm listening to it, so I'm investing my time. How am I going to direct my attention to make sure that I get the help that I actually need? So that would be the only other thing that I would add to it. Other than that, I mean, I love what you're doing here, man. I absolutely love it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I always appreciate having time to talk to you. And I really appreciate being able to share your knowledge and expertise with our viewers and individuals who can really be able to take value from it. Anytime I get a chance to be able to have 5 or 10 minutes and be able to put you up and kind of have someone get some insight about someone who can break it down like you can and really give, good analogies and explain it the way that you do, I think is phenomenal. Because I think, in medicine and in healthcare in general, one of the things that is so off-putting for many people is they don't want to feel dumb. They don't want to feel like they're going to ask that question and they're going to be looked at skeptically like, and that's the reason why sometimes they don't get the help that they could get. If you want to lead that quality life, what we really want for you is to always feel like you can have that approachable aspect of asking it however you want. Because at the end of the day, what we want is, as you mentioned before, is how would I treat my brother and my sister? Do they need to say it in a fancy way? Heck no, they don't need to say it in a fancy way. What we want is someone to be able to come the way that they would normally come with it, ask the question and get the answers that they need so they can be able to lead the life that they want, be able to punch pain in the face and get back to doing the things that they want to be able to do. And to that end, I thank you so much for joining us. And I always love to have you back anytime that you're available. Whenever we can fit you onto our show, we'd love to have you. And thank you, everyone, for watching us. And if you feel like this was a value to you, subscribe to our channel. And we hope to be able to continue to provide you more information that can help you change your life. Thank you so much.